Hello everyone, in this video today we're going to be taking a look at an article from The Guardian. It was published on the 18th of September, which I know I'm getting to it a few days late, but I still wanted to get into it. It appears to be written by Rajiv Sayal and agencies, whatever that means. It's in their electoral reform section, which it's kind of funny that you would have a whole section to that, devoted to that on the Guardian website. And the thing is the reason why I'm covering this article is the left has a tendency to enact stuff in Europe and the UK and then try to import it in the US. And there's actually a push from the left to actually do something like this, which is why you have a watchdog group coming out saying this would be a good idea. And you would think an honest-to-God watchdog group would be looking out on the note of electoral reform for the people themselves. But as you're going to see in this article, that's not the case with this particular one. Ban social media trolls from voting, election watchdog suggests. When you have a title like that, this is not an election watchdog. Okay, this is something that's being run by the politicians, especially when this is their stance is to ban anyone that they deem a social media troll from exercising their right to vote, which in the United States is one guaranteed by the Constitution. It's going to be kind of hard to do it, but they try to find a way on the left. Electoral Commission says bans could be considered an attempt to reduce amount of abuse faced by politicians. And I love this because criticism is considered abuse these days by politicians in the UK, no differently than the politicians here in the US. I love the caption here for this picture. The Labour MP Diane Abbott, which they're the special snowflake party in the UK, has been subjected to sexist and racist abuse online. So criticizing her for things like her stance on political hot button issues, her stance on, say, Islam and the mass importation of quote-unquote refugees. Oh, excuse me. Calling her out on stuff like that is what they're considering sexist and racist abuse. I mean, that's pretty much always the case when they try to claim stuff like that. Banning social media trolls from voting could help reduce the amount of abuse faced by politicians, the election watchdog said. If you choose a life in public office, or any life that's public for that matter, you open yourself up to criticism, name calling, whatever. Okay, you chose to put yourself in that position. You sow what you reap. Just because you decided to go there and can't, you decided to go there and you can't handle what's being thrown at you. It's like the old adage of if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Then you shouldn't be there. You shouldn't be looking at the fact of trying to silence the voices of the people who are critical of you at the ballot box. Because what that reeks of, and this is clear, is that you're afraid those people are going to stop you from being able to win. So you're trying to basically rig the game by claiming abuse because people are critical of you. The Electoral Commission says legislation around elections should be reviewed and new offenses should be introduced. No. They should be able to deal with people calling them out for their shit, as in grow a thicker skin, as in suck it up. In the Commission's submission to a committee on standards in public life inquiry into the intimidation of political candidates, officials say many offenses under electoral law date back to the 1800s or earlier. Yeah, and they've served for a very long time. But because, you idiots in the Labor Party don't like the fact that you can't win these days, you're now looking for ways to try to cheat. When an election watchdog suggests that you stop people from voting if they criticize you, because that's what you're calling trolls, I'm sure, it goes to show that you're trying to rig the game. They say some electoral offenses can result in an offender being disqualified from voting or from registering to vote. Such deterrence can be considered to stop abusive people, the submission says. No, grow a thicker fucking skin, okay? Calling someone names, even if they're doing that, which I highly doubt, okay? That goes with the fact of sticks and stones may break your bones, but names will never hurt you. Didn't your mothers teach you that? You poor, precious little snowflakes, huh? You chose public life, deal with the consequences. In some instances, electoral law does specify offenses in respect of behavior that could also amount to an offense under the general criminal law. It may be that similar special electoral consequence could act as a deterrent to abused behavior in relation to candidates and campaigners, it states. I can't believe that they're actually trying to portray what they're doing here like this. And even if this was the case, abuse, who says what is abuse? A bunch of Labor Party little commie bastards? Because, you are kind of commies on the Labor Party. Just saying. Yeah. Yeah. So, globalist commies would be more accurate. Who love open borders. And being in the EU. Who determines this? Because to me it seems like you're all upset that people are being critical of you. And calling you wastes of space and pieces of shit. That type of stuff. Because you're not doing what they elected you to do. Because you're in it for yourselves, the EU, and globalism. At least when it comes to the precious snowflakes that would want something like this. It just makes sense. Because look at this last sentence again from this last paragraph. It may be that similar special electoral consequences could act as a deterrent to abusive behavior in relations to candidates and campaigners. Let that sink in. They're trying to scare people into silence, okay, from calling out politicians. That's what this is saying. I mean, if you read between the lines, that's what they're getting at. A BBC survey has found that 87% of MPs say they experienced abuse during the 2017 general election campaign. Half, 51% of the MPs who responded to the Radio 5 Live survey said it was the worst election campaign they had experienced in terms of abuse. Now, I wonder if that 51% happened to be people from like Labour and stuff. Because the Tories seem to do pretty decent, considering they still control Parliament. Even if it is minority control type situation. Well, they are a majority, but you know what I mean. It's not like they have an overwhelming majority. Now, this 87% of MPs, okay, that did the survey, how many of them were Labour? I'm guessing a lot of them. Because I don't think a Tory would do that. Because a Tory would go, I became a Tory, I ran for public office, I got to suck up this shit. And I'm sure they get way more abuse from the left. than the other way around. I mean, this just seems like completely slanted. One Labour MP said someone had threatened to bomb her office, and another MP claimed to have had a bottle smashed on me. The anonymous survey revealed responses from 113 of UK's 650 MPs. So they got 113 of the 650. So we're at about a fifth. That's really a representative slice, don't you think? Can you hear my sarcasm? And it's an anonymous survey, so there's no way to back up what they're saying. That should be that should be something that makes you go, huh? Because the stuff that these MPs are claiming in an anonymous survey, which makes you wonder if some of them were even MPs. But in this anonymous survey, there's no way to back up what they're saying. So like the bottle broken on them, if you knew who it was, there's probably a record of it somewhere. And you could cross-check it and see the validity of things. But I don't think they want you to do something like that. A Downing Street spokeswoman said that Theresa May viewed the abuse and intimidation of candidates during the election as unacceptable. Yeah, actual abuse and intimidation. Calling out a Labour little shitbag is not abuse. It is not intimidation. But Labour tries to claim that. I mean, the thing is it's all those big bad white Brexiters that are threatening us. No, they're calling you out for being shitbags. It's that simple. They're calling you out for your choices as representation in Parliament or on the local government level if you're a Labour Party member. It doesn't matter, but they're calling you out and you don't like that. She asked the A Committee on Standards, or it should probably be, she asked the Committee on Standards in Public Life to have a look at that, and we'll see what they will come back with, the spokeswoman said. More generally, I think what she would say is that there's a clear difference between legitimate scrutiny and the conduct that is fueled by hate and personal abuse. Right. Yeah, and the thing is anything negative these days, if you're calling someone out, and you're literally calling out, say, their policies, and you're negative about them, to these special little snowflakes, it's abuse. That's how politicians say in Congress, whether they're in the House or the Senate. That's how they feel. Getting called out, these establishment neocons and the globalist Democrats and the deep, the ones regardless of either party that are deep staters and commie Bernie and all of them. That's how they feel about it. All right, they feel like it's personal abuse being called out. Well, not all. I mean, the ones, the career politicians, the establishment ones, them, yeah. So that has to be looked at. I mean, when considering the situation, because someone here in the U.S. in Congress is going to get the bright idea to import this into the U.S. And anyone knows, if it says made in England, it's going to fall apart, break down, be a hunk of shit, unreliable, and end up on blocks. Anyone who's owned an MG knows what I'm talking about. Anyone who's owned a Healy knows what I'm talking about. So, yeah, this is just going to end up like an imported British car. It's going to clusterfuck us if it happens. Anyways, I think I'm just going to leave things here. If you liked this video, depending on where you are watching it, please give it an upvote or thumbs up. If you want to know when new content of mine hits the internet, don't forget to subscribe to one or more of my social media or video accounts listed here. Also, with YouTube, don't forget to ring that bell. You can find all of my video content on both BitChute and YouTube. This may not be the case with other places I upload to, but I will try to minimize this happening. You are always welcome to interact with me at any of these sites on the list, so feel free to do so. If you have anything you want me to cover in a video when it comes to news or current events, send it right along to me. I will try to do my best to cover it. As always, thank you for watching.